be the free country, right? The free world. People come here, give me your sick, give me your poor, give me whomever, and they can have an opportunity to literally live a better life in this country. And right now, our fabric of humanity and our freedom is under attack, and it's about a government that we vote for. I don't know about you, but I vote. So if we're talking about voting, we're talking about paper terrorism. We're talking about people who are in these offices pushing policies that are literally tearing away from the fabric of this free world that we have. And there's so many different people. We're talking about different colors, different ages. People come from different places and parts of the world. But we are what? Human beings, spiritual beings. People believe in Jesus Christ. People may believe in Muhammad. We are literally saying by the end of the day, we are human beings who have a right to our freedom to make sure that we tell ourselves what is the best thing for us. At some point, I think that it's insulting for them to think that we don't know anything. It's insulting to say, oh, you guys are like YouTube conspiracy. No, we read books. We listen to doctors. We pay attention to both sides of the fence because we don't have a horse in a race. By the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we have our rights. I'm not here to tell somebody who wants to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. I'm here to say if that's what you want to do, you are exercising your freedom of choice. So why can't I exercise mine? You see, as we're walking down here, there's people who are riding bikes and walking by cursing us out. You would have thought it was black people in the 60s or the 50s trying to go into a restaurant. You're yelling, you're cursing at people just for exercising their freedom of choice? What type of government are we going to live under when we cannot have a stance for what we believe in? Because again, they're trying to make us a second-class citizen. If you're not vaccinated, you cannot access these amenities that this great country has to offer. Well, the good thing about that is that we are ingenuitive type of people, so we can create our own economy. We can create our own systems. If you guys don't want us in your establishments, we'll build our own. We could take examples from the bootleggers who did that in Prohibition. What, if alcohol is illegal and we can't do it, we're going to set up our own spots. And then what, years later now, alcohol is legal. If we have to have an anti-vax speakeasy for education, speak easy for us to be able to get access to produce, to the goods that we need, then that means at some point we as the people have to realize that they're no different than us. They just wear suits all day and they try to terrorize us with the paperwork. But by the end of the day, this country is made by us. We're the workforce. We're the blood, sweat, and tears. We're the labor. We are the people. We're the ones that they try to leverage. We're the ones that go to the Army, to the Air Force, to the Marines. We are the workers. We are the fuel of this country. So at some point in time, the bravery has to exist with us to say, listen, this thing will collapse if we choose to not comply. So us choosing to not comply is going to allow a system of corruption to collapse, and us as the brave heroes are going to continue to push on to make sure that we bring things together to be more united, because by the end of the day, it's truly just about humanity and having a choice to make sure that we make the best decisions for ourselves. And the government that we have is supposed to put us in the best position to do so. And if we come together to realize that the vaccine is not the way to go, we might want more holistic support, we might want more access to fruits and vegetables. We still have communities that live in deserts where they can't even get fresh fruits and vegetables. So can we address those issues? Can we get to the systemic things that are happening in our communities? Because just because you gave somebody a vaccine doesn't mean it prevents the situations that are happening, let alone the fact that if you get the vaccine, you still can catch COVID. We could get into all of those conversations, but by the end of the day, fundamentally, it's literally not making sense when it's about us having freedom in a country that was built on freedom. And we have that right. So if we have to fight for that, like I'm standing here, I got terminated last Tuesday. I'm a youth educator. I run a program. I've been dedicated to kids in the community for over 10 years. I build curriculums. I organize leaderships. I organized with Gen Z yesterday when it was about Black Lives Matter. I've been on the ground in New York City for the last 10 years working in communities, but because I exercised my free choice with my employer, I was fired. The saddest part is the loss is the children, because it's people like us who really care about the work that we do in whatever field that we're in. So we have to see that this thing is way bigger than an anti or a pro when it comes to this. This is literally about us coming together to say, whether you want it or not, you should have a choice to make that decision. So even if people are vaccinated, they should be out here because they chose to get vaccinated. The purpose is having a choice. Not, oh, because you did it and you didn't, we should be divided. No, let's stand together for the fact that we should be able to come together to make a choice for what we want. And you know, and the saddest part, we were at a rally in Staten Island, and the government is so cynical, is that they'll use these businesses to enforce this. This is not a federal law. You cannot get arrested by the government if you don't have a vaccine passport. They're trying to tell businesses and schools. These are institutions that our tax money comes out of, and they're telling them to tell us what to do. How about we tell a government that exists to step up if this is what you want, and stop allowing these businesses to be coerced, to position themselves in a way that takes away their rights and our rights. If you're the government, then you have to face us, the people.
At this point in time, it seems as though they want like employees to take on the jobs of the government. So instead of it being police, it's illegal for the police to stand outside of restaurants or outside of your schools or outside of whatever businesses that it is that you may own. They want you yourself to then become a Nazi general and say, oh yeah, you cannot come into my facility because you're not vaccinated. It's not our choice. You can choose not to participate in that. You can choose to say, I'm not going to segregate my restaurant or my facility or whatever it is that you provide for your community. It literally means for all of us to stand up in our own right and say, listen, I'm going to take a stance against what's going on. Right, the restaurants have been getting fined for not discriminating, honestly, for not participating in this new school segregation. So it really it begins to be the people, like someone said earlier. We as a crowd need to go into these businesses that said they're going to segregate and say, I want you to serve me. It takes for us to really make stances against this. Us sitting here talking to each other when we all know we're on the same page doesn't really get anywhere. We have to, as a people, continue to take space and move forward in the next steps of this fight, because us just rallying together is no longer going. We stood outside of a courthouse in Staten Island where they have lawyers fighting for their rights as restaurant owners, and they were denied. So as if the restaurant owners who are getting fines for not participating in segregation are now being denied, who's going to save who? They're fighting to save us, but when the fuck do we stand up to save them? To the teachers, the nurses, the fucking doctors, to save ourselves. When do we stand up and say, listen, I have feet in this fight?
Okay, and I'm going to end and we're going to pass it off. And my last statement is, it's not illegal to start your own business, to be funded individually by the people. You know, so if the system and the powers that be are trying to strip away our powers, the beautiful thing about the country that we live in, it's not a communist country. You can start your own. The educators, the teachers, the people within medicine, let's find ways that we can come together and find ways to treat and take care of our communities, because we don't want to get caught up in this cloud of what's going on when it's real stuff still happening. People are still really sick. People are still dying. Like I said this earlier, we are still looking at a school system that has been operating at a minimal level for the last 2 years. I work in education. A lot of our kids are far behind when it comes to their academic work. And now teachers and educators like myself who are passionate are being fired. So that means the go along, get along gangs, the ones who are going to let our kids believe what the government tells them, are the ones who are in the system. So now our kids are going to continue to be misled. So we really have to come together, fight together, and know that the power is in us to build networks. If we have to go underground, let's find a way to do so. Stay connected. Peace and love.